Welcome to the From Concealment Podcast, the show for firearm enthusiasts who like to shoot, train, carry, and compete. Get ready for some shooting insight, firearm and accessory reviews, and of course, insight on concealed carry. And now, broadcasting from behind enemy lines in the From Concealment studio, it's Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams.
Hey, Freedom Nation, this is Pete Mitchell.
And I'm Dan Sams.
And you are listening to the Tinfoil Hat Podcast, or From Concealment, as we used to go by.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I think From Concealment still works. It's that we might be coming from a different kind of concealment later. This is all still related to guns, but man, it's a whole
guns more than ever.
Yeah, exactly right, man. Exactly right.
Man, let's get into it. By the way, if you want some training, when the world opens up for business, go to Fast OC. But the world ain't open right now.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You want to hear something interesting?
I do.
I had to start my CCW renewal. That's what we call it here in California. I conceal carry weapons renewal, because ours are only good for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I've been told you can't start it more than 90 days before. Then after I started it, they're like, well, we always tell people 120 to 90 days because we won't do any extension. Like, if yours expires, we don't rush, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
First of all, this is unconstitutional, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So I start my process, and then I get notified. Sheriff's Department is closed down for coronavirus.
Oh, man.
Until further notice. I'm like, well, if you think I'm not carrying in the apocalypse, you're out of your frickin' mind.
Yeah. You better be carrying right
I
now,
will
man. Risk
going to jail for the rest of my life because I ain't dying because you decided to close down and take away my constitutional right.
Yeah. That's been a thing in a lot of places. A lot of the Boog Boy pages that I follow are running into that, and they're saying this is absolutely unconstitutional. Now you're saying that I have to have an extra permit to carry. Now you're saying you're not offering this permit at a time when we need it the most.
Yep.
And so,
many cities in California are forcing gun shops to close down, saying that they're not essential. And the Glock store, which is pretty famous worldwide, but Glock store is in San Diego, California. And they're like, well, we are essential, but we are only open for law enforcement and military. And I'm like, I will never buy anything from you again because that's BS.
Yeah, cut them right off.
Total BS.
Yep.
I mean,
sucks, man.
Yeah.
So I know Lake Erie Arms is closed today only because they're restocking. So they're restocking today. They did a whole cleaning over the weekend. They are going to be open to the public because they're considered an essential, but not just for law enforcement, for everybody. So definitely can drop on in. You guys are listening, Lake Erie Arms. So the plan is to be open Tuesday through Sunday here, whatever. This is March 20. That'll be 24 through 29. And then again, next week, we'll start going Wednesday to Sunday openings. Because we're going to have to restock during the front of the week.
Everyone's buying everything out. So a mutual friend of ours finally got into the gun store to buy his gun.
Nice.
And he texts me. He's like, hey, what do you think about the Springfield XD40? And I'm like, get the 9. He goes, it's the only gun they have left in the store.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, well, then you're getting a Springfield XD40. Yeah. What do you want me to say to that?
I've gotten the same kind of. Actually, somebody was asking me about a Smith & Wesson Shield in a 45, and I'm like, same thing. I'm like, you probably ought to get it in a 9. And then I'm also thinking, like, is he talking about a 40? Does he think it's 40 when it's actually, or think it's 45 when it's actually 40? But I told him, like, man, you're gonna want the 9. But he's like, well, this is the option in front of me, and I'm like, okay, man.
That's kind of what it is.
Get it.
Yeah, right now it's like they don't have options because they are literally sold out. And so actually what our friend decided to do is he goes, they're supposed to get some Glocks on I think the 10th of April. And this guy goes, look, I got a constitutional First and Second Amendment right. I am staying open, even though they've said we're non-essential. He goes, I don't care. I'm staying open.
Yep.
Until they come in here with cops, I'm staying open. And
Cool.
So he's like, all right, well, then I'll be back on the 10th. But even then, I think he's got a Glock 22 coming in. And I go, well, that's a 40 caliber. And he goes, yeah, but I really like it. And I'm like, well, just know it's going to have a little bit more kick and it's going to cost you more to shoot. And he's like, oh, so, is the kick going to be a problem? I'm like, no, because that's what you're going to learn on. So you're just going to get used to it and you're going to be fine. I go, it's just going to be more expensive. And it is going to suck when you go to the range with friends because no one else is going to have a 40.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
You're not going to be borrowing ammo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do what you gotta, I guess.
That's where it's at right now, man. Do what you got to do. So, yeah, man, we need to talk about some of the stuff that's going on though, man, because it is nuts. Did you had some things in mind already, but I had some articles I wanted to talk about.
I am dumbfounded at people. Like, they are totally okay with a dictator stripping away their God-given, constitutionally protected rights because they're scared.
Yeah. And
I don't even understand what they're scared of. They're scared of the flu? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And I could be totally missing something here, but I'm looking at all the stats and I'm like, okay, it sounds like it sucks if you're symptomatic.
Yeah.
But that ain't everyone. And it's got a higher death rate than the flu, but it ain't like it's through the roof high.
Yeah.
We're at like 3.2% for the states. And I'm like, I don't get it. We're going to literally tank the entire world.
Yeah.
And like, so here in California, our dictator, Gavin Newsom, he declared, right? He just, I am declaring, and doing his little thing. And social distancing, everything's closed.
Yeah.
So I'm on these Facebook groups for my community, and these people have lost their minds. They're like, can you believe it? And they take pictures. There's 10 people in the park, and there's more than 10, and they're not social distancing at all. Look at how close they are. And I'm like, you out of your flipping mind? Like, seriously, this is how the republic dies because you're afraid of catching the flu? I don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm totally recognizing that, like, hey, it's a serious virus. We don't want to screw around, but they're using this to take away freedoms. And it's another thing, like, shoot, in flu season, a lot of us try to distance a little bit, right? When it's voluntary, I'm okay with it. I'm even okay with recommendations. CDC comes out and says, hey, everybody, here's how it passes. You really need to do this, this, and this. But we're talking about things that go far beyond. First of all, they're completely tanking the economy. We're screwed. That's just the reality. But then all these other things that are being pushed through at the same time, that's concerning me a lot. Did you know about the HR 5717 bill? It's Gun Violence Prevention and Community Safety Act of 2020. Did you hear about this?
I read about it, but I didn't read much on it, and I didn't know if it was something pre-coronavirus or they're trying to sneak it in now.
So my understanding is they were developing it before coronavirus. But man, they're going to try to push this through, and I'm convinced they're going to try to do it now. We've got that going on. We have, of course, Rolling Stone article on the whole suspending constitutional rights during coronavirus emergency. It's almost laughable that they're the ones reporting that when, like, they just don't like because it's Trump. But it's still a reality. Newsweek shared the article about the government's plan for stopping any kind of civil unrest. And I'm like, there shouldn't be a military plan. It's one thing if we've got an issue with that we're going to use the National Guard to respond to, but why is the military putting together a plan to stop unrest internally? We're not supposed to be deploying troops internally. Why do they have a plan for that? All these things kind of together, and I'm like, we shouldn't be happy about this.
We've already got the National Guard deploying out here in California, and I keep coming back to I don't know if it was you who said this or someone else, but how do you cook a frog? You don't throw it in hot water. You slowly turn up the heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, of course, right now the National Guard is protecting the food banks. Protecting the food banks. Because that's where you started, and then you start to expand and expand and expand.
Yeah. Well, that's here. They deployed them here in Ohio, and their whole thing was something about helping out with prevention of the spread, which I'm like, okay, that's really vague. And then there was
and how do you prevent it when you yourself can catch it and then be a carrier? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I wanted to know, I'm like, what are they loading their guns with Purell? Like what are soldiers supposed to do to prevent the spread of a virus? The other thing they were doing is they were going to volunteer supposedly at food banks. So similar to what you guys got going on. I'm like, I have a friend of mine who runs a food bank. I don't think he had too much trouble getting volunteers out. They were ready to go. I'm like, why do we need soldiers to help out with this? Like, that's, everybody will say, well, here's what they're going to do. And I'm like, yeah, but why would we want to do that? Why would we want to deploy the National Guard when we really don't need them? We're escalating something unnecessarily. And we're once again, we're just warming up the frog a little bit.
Yep.
And it's frustrating. I posted something about
to the cheers of the people.
To the cheers of the people.
The people are cheering this. At least here in California, they have lost their minds.
Yeah.
Like no one understands freedom at all.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you've seen some of the things I've posted, and I've been relatively careful because I'm posting actual news stories and just saying, watch out. This is not just about a virus. And the pushback I'm getting from that is really interesting. I'm getting calls from people saying either from one of two things. One, they'll say, don't make people more nervous. They're already nervous enough. And I'm like, that's not a good enough reason for me.
By the way, no, they're not nervous enough.
No, and I agree. Well, and they're not nervous about the right things.
Right.
The people that are freaking out about getting sick, and they're going overboard with their freaking out. And then you got a whole other group of people that aren't serious enough. Like the spring breakers, I think, are being idiots right now. It's like, come on, like, I'm smart enough. I think that there's a whole big mess with this that is not just about the virus, but I also recognize that there's a virus going on and you shouldn't be stupid. So like, don't go to the beach and make out with 10 different people that day. Right. So we've got that stuff going on. I have one person a good dear friend who contacted me, and he's like, hey man, some of the stuff you're sharing, I think you're right. He's like, but I don't want you to get hurt. So would you please stop sharing it? And I'm like, that I appreciate. I actually get what you're coming at.
Get hurt by who?
That's the question.
The state? You think the state would come after him?
He's worried that I'm making the wrong people mad. He's comes from a different. It's a long story. He has a right to be nervous because of what his background is.
Yeah.
And he's right that I need to be careful. I don't want to be stupid, but I'm not going to not share the truth, but I'm going to be a little bit more careful about certain things. What really scares me, I'm just being totally honest, I have a unique kind of connections. The joke is that Dan knows everybody. The things I'm not sharing that I am hearing from people in law enforcement, in government, people that work for government contracting, are a whole lot scarier than anything I'm sharing on my Facebook newsfeed. So when I say now is a good time to get an AR-15, that's a really nice way of saying you better freaking get yourself a fighting weapon right now. And that's about as clear as I can make it without sharing things I'm not supposed to share. Take it really seriously, everybody. Make sure you're ready to defend your family. Oh, so man, it's nuts right now.
It's crazy. And I mean, first of all, this is why I'm thinking, okay, there's something sinister here. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that someone manufactured this virus. I know we've talked about that before on the podcast. I've seen enough from scientists to make me believe, no, this wasn't man-made. This is a natural occurring virus. Just the wrong animals got connected. The wrong viruses shared with each other, mutated, and made this one. However, I believe people take advantage of things, right? I mean, Democrats never miss an opportunity to strip away a constitutional right. I mean, that's anything they can get. But I'm looking at this going, okay, first of all, our governor of California has lost his mind. And he really truly believes that everything he's doing is the best thing that could be done. So I don't believe that he's doing it out of a position of malice. But he's what, would be referred to as a useful idiot, right? He's getting this ball rolling, and others, I believe, are going to come alongside and take advantage of it. Here's the thing. California, 5th largest economy in the world. We are shut down. We're totally shut down right now. I literally had to drive down to one of my clients' office to pick up a bunch of my equipment, and there's like no one on the freeways. In fact, I joked with them. I'm like, look, guys, I would actually office here with you if the freeways were always like that, because this is awesome. I mean, I got here no time flat. When I'm doing 80, 85 down the freeway to get here, I'm like, this is beautiful. But the reality is the entire country is getting shut down. California is totally shut down. There is such a loss of income. It's not even funny. Like you literally, we as a state are never going to come back from this. We're never going to come back from this unless it ended this week. Possibly we'll come back from it. But if this thing goes on for 2 or 3 months, forget it. It's over. Honestly, I think capitalism is over, because they're going to use this as an excuse to go, look, in order to stop this virus, we had to shut down the country. We obviously can't survive. There's no tax money coming in. We got to go to socialism. And my state is going to cheer that, because we got freaking idiots up and down this damn state. And they're going to be all in favor of going to socialism. The republic will be dead. And that's why I say he's a useful idiot. He's playing right into who's ever behind, that kind of mentality. I don't know who it is. He's not smart enough to come up with it himself.
Yeah.
I've heard other governors saying, hey, maybe we should be looking at universal income, because everyone's going to be hit. But when you have the federal government going, hey, we're putting off taxes for 3 months, that's when you know it's bad. Yeah. The federal government never says, hey, we're going to put off our money.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the state of California hasn't said they're going to stop. They haven't said you don't have to pay us.
Yep.
So they're still like, you guys can't work, but give us our money.
Yep. Oh, man.
It's slavery.
It's
slavery.
It is, man. So a little quote here when you were talking about this, it reminded me of a C.S. Lewis quote. I'm going to just read this really quick. It says, of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep, his cupidity may at some point be satiated, but those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience. That right there, man, that is unfortunately the drive of most socialist leaders. I would say a drive of a big chunk of United States governors and congresspersons and senators and even presidents. That they think they're doing this for our own good. Not every time, but much of the time. And that's why it's so dangerous.
Yeah, I think the whole, first of all, getting rid of habeas corpus. Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. Like, that's what makes America America. You can't just imprison people and slam the door on them and you're done. So here in California, they have LA County Sheriff has already started releasing prisoners to stop the spread of coronavirus. I don't understand that, but whatever. And they're not arresting people. Wait, so let me get this straight. You're going to release people who are convicted, not arrest people who should be arrested, but then you are going to arrest me and hold me without trial, without seeing a judge for up to 12 months because what?
I can.
Yeah. How is this America? How is any of this right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and plus, by the way, here in California, my state's so crappy. You can't be arrested. It's a misdemeanor, I should say. You can be arrested, but it's a misdemeanor if you steal basically less than $950 from a store. So we've got people who are literally walking into the grocery stores, taking a bunch of stuff and walking out. Worst thing that happens to them, it's a misdemeanor. They might go to jail for a night or two, but it's a misdemeanor. It's a fine, and then you're gone.
Oh, man. This is bad.
And then they're telling us, oh, we want to close down the guns because what we don't want is panic gun buying. It ain't panic when there's a reason you need a gun.
Oh, man. Yeah. Notice how in all of those things, they're going the opposite direction of freedom. Like everything is actually the thing that makes it worse. They're doing what makes it worse.
And people are going to cheer it the whole way.
Nuts. Yeah. Yeah. Was it you that shared the thing from Star Wars where they're dissolving the Senate and everybody's cheering? And the parallels between what's happening and what is that, episode 3, and what's happening right now are insane. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. No, that wasn't me that shared that, but that's totally true.
It's insane. I mean, that's the whole, this is how the Republic dies, is through, cheers or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, it's wicked, man.
Yeah. And I see, I tell you, I write so many Facebook comments and then delete them because I'm like, why am I getting into this? Why am I going to get into this?
Yeah.
Like I had this one conversation, a bunch of pastors, right? Because I'm connected with a lot of pastors.
Yeah.
And this one pastor was going off on me because I'm like, dude, this is not a big deal. This is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, don't say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And so I replied back, don't say it is a big deal. It's not a big deal. What, you can just, if you can declare it, so can I.
So can I.
This is ridiculous. And then I stopped commenting because I'm like, these people have lost their minds. And this one guy goes, well, would you think it's a big deal if someone one of your friends and family catches it and dies? And so I wrote back, do you think it would be a big deal if someone you knew catches the flu and dies?
Yeah.
Don't be stupid while you're being hysterical.
Actually,
and then I deleted that comment because I was like, dude, they're out of their minds.
Yes. So I'll give you one for that one. We have someone in our church who has an ongoing health issue, pretty much from birth health issue. His doctor told him if he gets COVID-19, he's got a 50-50 shot. He may or may not die. He is the one who's like, this stuff is nuts. People are being stupid. He's like, it sucks if people die. He's like, it's sad. I'm not saying that's not an issue. He's like, but we have the same thing every year with the flu. It's sad. It's serious. But we're tanking the economy and causing a whole lot more problems. Arguably might be causing a whole lot more deaths based on what we're doing to the economy. And the guy who I know who has the highest chance of dying over it is the guy who's saying our government is being stupid. This is nuts. And that tells you something right there, that even he's like, man, I know that I've got risks in my life because I'm at risk. I have a health risk, and I know that that's a thing. He's like, I'm not asking everybody to ruin the entire economy over my potential for risk. And so he's like, it would be a big deal if I got sick, but it doesn't change the fact that we shouldn't be tanking the economy right now. What a time,
all I can say too is everybody who reloads ammo right now, we're all happy that we all have our N95 masks because I got a stash of those, and I'm like, am I going to turn these over to the hospital? No. I'm going to be prepared for my family, and I'm sorry if you weren't prepared as a hospital. That's your job, not my job.
Yeah. Oh man. So speaking of preparedness, can I share a couple of bits of helpful tools that I think our people should know about?
Absolutely.
So I don't know if anybody's been following, but AR500armor.com is running some killer deals. They're not a sponsor. We're not getting any money to say this, but they have a plate carrier package. It's a carrier and 2 plates. They're level 3 armor. They're like the 9x9s. They're not the full size, but $99 for the carrier and front and back plates. I've never seen a deal like that on armor. Telling everybody AR500.com for that. And then they also have a little bit bigger, slightly nicer carrier package for $129. Includes their nicer carrier and 2 level 3 plates, a little bit bigger plates. Are you allowed to have armor out there? And
Yes,
California?
and I've been looking to buy, but everywhere I've seen says, "Hey, we're like 4 to 8 weeks out," and I'm like, "Dude, the apocalypse is going to be over by then."
I'd check it out. They just started running the $99 sale. I would look into that.
I want 3+. Do they have 3+? Any deals on 3+?
Well, I don't think they have deals on 3+, but they've got 3. I went 3+ also. You might be able to upgrade some of these to 3+. You're not going to be getting the same kind of deal. AR-500 armor, man, it tends to be rated pretty good. It's a little heavier than the other stuff, than like the ceramic or whatever, but I hear it does the job. But yeah, you probably should do a 3+. Some people are saying do a 4. I think 3+ covered you for just about everything.
I'm not going to worry about 4, honestly. I mean, they're going for a headshot if they're using that anyway.
Yeah.
Toast anyway.
I got another recommendation I need to bring in because a listener also who is also a house church leader for our church, one of our house churches, sent me the most amazing pair of boots I have ever seen, let alone owned. So one of our guys works for Nick's Handmade Boots out of Spokane, Washington. You ever seen these boots?
No.
They're what the hotshot firefighters wear.
Okay.
These are like these are the things that will last you for the rest of your life. He sent me a pair of their high level, like high arch boots that are like designed for when you're on your feet all day. Holy cow. I'm going to just recommend the heck out of Nick's Handmade Boots.
I'm a size 13 if anyone wants to send me a
there
a
you
pair.
go. Dude, I check these things out. They have kind of a unique look to them. They're like a little bit higher back heel. And if it wasn't for the fact that like the manliest dudes in the world wear them, I would have been like, oh, that's a little bit of a feminine look. And then you see those dudes wearing them, you're like, no, these are amazing. But they're just huge. And they're like, they go way up your knee. They're like fire rated, but they're surprisingly lightweight. They're amazing. I actually tried them out yesterday, did a little bit of a hike, and they did pretty well. I've got to learn better how to tie them. But then I spent like a whole day working in the garage and like no back issues, super comfortable. Just going to recommend the heck. You need some bug out boots. Holy cow. Nick's Handmade Boots has these hot shot boots that are like nothing I've ever seen. Like when you get them, you're like, they're tanks. They've got a special kind of arch support. They're put together like tanks and yet not very heavy. So I had to mention that because like for crying out loud, they sent me free boots. I'm going to enjoy them. And then I've already used them, already loving them. You need to get yourself some Nick's Handmade Boots. They are, and again, I'm not getting paid. This is like just my friend sent me these boots, but they're amazing. Holy cow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to call them my commie stompers.
I love it.
So anyway, man, yeah, had to get those plugs in there because it's pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah. What else is going down in Ohio right now? Now I realize we recorded about a week before this thing actually airs, but what is your governor doing right now in Ohio?
They just issued the whatever they're calling it, quarantine. I forget the word for it. There's like a technical, it's not shelter in place, but it's close to it. Essentially, only the essential, quote unquote, essential businesses are allowed to be open. So they shut down about a week ago. They shut down hair salons and all that kind of stuff. They'd already done. The restaurants were closed. Got
a great story for you on hair salons when you're done.
Oh yeah. But right now it's, like my wife can still work because she's a licensed counselor. It's a medical field. Things like that. But in general, we're just supposed to stay at home. It's a stay at home order is essentially what the order is. I think that's what they're calling it. But it's strange. I'll tell you, I think I can share this. Word is people are getting letters from the Ohio FEMA director, essentially giving them letters so that they're allowed to drive if it escalates. So for the medical care professionals, we're seeing people here and there, some law enforcement getting letters from FEMA saying, carry this letter with you to drive if anything goes down.
I want to say that I think that's what my sister was saying because she works in a grocery store. And she said something about she was given a letter or something to carry in her car if they go to martial law so she can get to work.
So those have gone out. So worth distinguishing. We're not currently under martial law, although the frog is in the pot, the temperature is up, as we've been saying, right? It's not officially martial law. What I've been saying is like, we're going to get to martial law. They're just not going to call it that.
Yeah,
right?
not in America.
We're going to be under martial law, and it's just going to be like when we were at war with Vietnam and we called it a conflict. Like it's bull.
It's a military policing.
It's a military. Yeah, they'll just call it something else. It's kind of like the Affordable Care Act, like, right, where like they're forcing you to buy something and they're fining you if you don't. But they called the fine a tax. So
which, by the way, you hear us here in California, they reinstituted that since it went away federally. You have to have health insurance or the state taxes you now.
Man,
I live in I almost just went off. I live in a really bad state.
Yeah.
I hate the state. I hate it.
You guys gotta get out of there.
I finally got my wife to like start going, don't you feel like we should just do something? Like, and I'm
like move to a safer state. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start looking at some properties in Waco because I'd really like to live in Texas. So I want to get some acreage. Let's go. We're gone.
When the people in my church are talking about like, hey Dan, we're coming to your house if anything goes down. And after a while, I'm like, cool, man. We'll get some barricades. We'll live here. It'll be cool. Then I'm like, this is sounding too familiar. Local
like
pastor.
A little Waco action relived.
Oh yeah. So anyway, that's yeah, man. Hey, well, the other thing, man, is last I checked, it was like $40 to fly from there to here. So if you want to fly the whole family out, you could probably fly everybody for less than $200.
Are you serious? On out here. Is it really that cheap?
I think it was $48 to fly from LAX to Cleveland.
Normally, I would hate to fly out of LAX, but right now, I bet you it's wide open.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if you need to get out, man, you could probably get a pretty cheap plane ticket. You guys, I've got to be careful. I'm giving a lot of invites to the people I love to come here and join the bug out compound, man.
Well, what's funny is I keep telling my wife, because I'm not a hunter. I've never been hunting in my life. If I killed something, I would not know how to clean it. I feel very unprepared. I'm like, okay, so even though I don't really like hunting, I'm going to have to learn because this probably won't be the last time they pull this crap.
Yeah.
And I'm young enough where I could go through this again. So I need to start prepping up.
Yeah.
And I keep telling my wife, I'm like, the worst part is it's not like there's anywhere we can go right now. It's not like we could go, oh, it's good in Arizona. Let's get out to Arizona. Oh, it's good in where? It's not good anywhere. It's coming to every state. Like it's in every state, the virus, but this hysteria is coming to every state. Yeah. I'm like, the problem is, like, we would need to go to a place where we had enough property or close enough to the woods where, should we have to, we could actually hunt for our food. Mm-hmm. We can't, like, I'm in Southern California. There's nowhere to hunt. Like, what are we going to hunt? Squirrel? Yeah. Like, okay, that's great, but with as many guns as there are in California, they're all going to be dead in like a week.
Yeah.
There won't be anything else to eat.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this is...
Speaking of someone who has eaten plenty of squirrel, the time and effort to get a squirrel, like, it's way too much to turn around and be able to eat it. I mean, really? You can do it, but if you need to feed your family, like your family would probably need 2 squirrels, depending on the size of the squirrel, probably going to need 2 squirrels per meal. It takes a long time to clean one because it's a tiny little, you're basically cleaning a rat. I mean, we call it tree rat for a reason. Right. And so it's good. And when, for like in the fall, you want to like teach a kid to hunt, like it's fun to, make, and normally they'll make squirrel stew because there's not enough. I mean, it's going to take too much work to make it. So highly recommend, like, you got to get somewhere where you can kill some deer. Yeah, but I mean, squirrel's good. I'm not knocking squirrel. I'm just saying it's a lot of effort to clean a squirrel. And so you're going to have to clean a lot of them. You're going to have to make it. And so you think about like every meal, you're going to have 2 squirrels. Well, you got to kill 6 squirrels a day. Yeah, they're going to be gone quick. Yeah, but
and there's a lot. I mean, people always go, oh, it's California. They don't have guns. It doesn't matter. We still have more guns than most people. More states have people. Like, yeah. So the percentage wise is pretty low here, but it doesn't matter. Like, we are such a big state. We've got everything. Yeah. And I'm like, that's the thing that I keep looking at. I'm like, okay, if we make it out of this thing without going to an internal war, then I got to look at buying property in another state that has land.
Yeah.
Because in fact, I was, when I was at my buddy's office today, I'm talking to him, and I know they've got a nice place in Idaho, really nice place on a Coeur d'Alene Lake. I've stayed there before. And I'm talking to them, and they're like, yeah, well, the problem is you can't fly out there right now. I'm like, I don't care. I'd get in my car and drive. Like, yeah, but it's everywhere. There's already 3 cases in our county. I'm like, yeah, but there's less people out there in Idaho than there is here in Southern California. And secondly, you could actually hunt if things get really bad.
Yep.
And of course, they don't think it's going to get really bad. And I hope they're right. Yeah. I just, like, he goes, you're one of those conspiracy people, aren't you? And I go, absolutely. Right now, I totally am. I think this is, nothing smells right here. This is not right.
Well, all of my normal friends that thought I was crazy, and I don't even, you know where I'm at on it all, right? All of those friends are calling me now saying like, Dan, you're onto something, like clearly. So all the people that thought I was crazy, now they're agreeing. Yeah. So yeah, you just need to get somewhere where you can hunt, man. You'll be all right.
Hunt or fish, and I don't even know how to do either.
You can learn those things, man.
I would learn those things.
Seriously,
that's the reality.
Get that SAS survival guide. Watch some YouTube videos, man. You'd be surprised how much there is on YouTube that's like really legitimate survival skills. You could do quicker than you think. You could learn to fish and clean. And cleaning a deer is hard work, but it's not the worst thing ever.
I figure a deer probably lasts you a while if you have a way to keep the meat good.
You got to be able to smoke it or whatever, but it'll last you. And I like the meat. Not everybody likes the meat, but yeah. Oh, it's crazy times, man. Crazy times.
Man. Who knew? You know, it's kind of funny though. Actually, I probably shouldn't say that on this podcast, but I'll tell you later. Some of the funny things that I'm looking at, and I'm like, I think God might have had a hand in all of this.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, I got to tell you about my mother-in-law. So she the other day went to go get her hair done at the salon, and of course they're all closed. So she calls them the day before, and they're like, "Oh no, go ahead and come in." So she gets there. The blinds are all closed on the building. There's a newspaper over the glass in the front door. She's like, okay. She walks in, totally dark, in the waiting room. And then she goes back behind there where they all work. It goes behind that door. Everyone's there. Lights are on. They're like, oh, yeah, we're trying to make it look like we're closed.
That's awesome.
Because my mother-in-law is like, this is a joke. I can't believe they're doing all this. I mean, this is, whatever. Yeah. And they're like, we have to work. So we're not closing down. You can't tell us to close down. We're working.
Yeah. Smart on them, by the way. Make it look like you're closed, but still be open. Yeah, my wife's hairdresser. I mean, she's like, what do I do? Like she's applying for other places because she's like, I don't want to lose my license. It seems like most everybody else. Oh, this is the other thing from a marketing perspective. All of the barbers and hair salons have all of a sudden started getting everybody on SMS marketing. And so like I'm getting anybody I know who's in that field at all, I'm getting texts from them like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they're really vague. They're like, hey, if you need anything, just let me know. I'm like, why would you text me other than you want me to come over to your house so I can pay you to cut my hair? Which I'm not complaining about that. I'm just,
dude, I get a haircut every 2 weeks. So I'm on like, 2 weeks and 3 days right now. And I'm like, dude, I can already see the fuzz. It's already, I'm starting to fro out here. I need to go. I need to get something done.
Yeah, man.
Telling my wife, I might just have to buzz it just because I hate having shaggy hair. I'm like, I know, man. To get rid of it all.
I'm keeping an eye out for mine because I'm right at the place where I'm like, well, I would be thinking about going in for a cut now, right. And then I'd be lazy for another week, and then I would feel terrible, and I would go in, and it would be shaggy. But yeah, man, it's a wild time, dude. So you be safe. You can always hide out at Casa de Sam's if things get real bad.
Yeah, but as we already know, that offer's been made to a lot of people.
Oh, but think about the Boogaloo crew I'm gonna have here, man.
Dude, I would just be thinking about like if I got pulled over anywhere between here and there, they're going to say he had an armory in his car because I would be coming heavy. Let me just say.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's everybody that I'm inviting. I'm saying like, you got to bring food or you got to bring ammo or you got to bring something else. Like you got to contribute. And like, Pete, you're going to be, you'll be contributing weapons and ammo and it'll be beautiful.
What's funny is I showed you one of my favorite firearms. I'm just going to say it's a firearm. I'm not going to say anything else about it. Mm-hmm. And I remember putting, that I had to make some adjustments to it for the big igloo that's coming. And I was just
Lovely.
like, I got this thing ready, baby. This thing's ready. if it goes down,
I'm ready to go.
all I know is I gotta figure out. See, because again, I live in this repressive state. I've never done the hanger trick with your AR to turn it into a full auto. I've never done any of that. I'm like,
I haven't either. Because I'm not ready to go to jail.
Of course not. No.
Have you seen the video of the guy? I mean, it doesn't show his face, but he cracks open a White Claw and he's like, ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. Takes a drink of White Claw and then starts drilling third hole on his AR.
That's
and I'm
hilarious.
like, that's awesome. Yep. Good times, man. Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. We're going to just be keeping an eye out. I really am. I'm in a place where I'm just telling people, hey, this is why we don't put our hope in government. We don't put our hope in our health. We don't put our hope in our economy. Our hope is in the Lord, and that is it. And I don't want to be the guy who doesn't have hope right now, because we can still laugh because I'm like, I've got eternity to look for. There are a lot of other people, man, the things that they hope in are gone.
Yeah.
And that's scary. I feel bad for them. So come and join us.
Absolutely.
So, anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah. So real quick, I'll be fast here, but Lake Erie Arms, man, highly recommending you guys check them out. They're going to be open most weeks. By the time you get this, we're going to be looking at Wednesday through Sunday until they shut us down. So Wednesday through Sunday, regular hours, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you're in Northeast Ohio, get on up here. We're getting stuff restocked, and so we're able to meet demand for the most part as best we can, but you're definitely going to want to get in. All right. Other than that, if you're not nearby, check out learms.net. We are re-upping all of our cool downloads for training videos and things like that. Now's a good time to be watching them, and we will take it from there.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll be back next week if I'm not in an internment camp somewhere.
Right. That's right. Yeah, it'll suck if you're in a different FEMA camp than me, man.
Well, and I think we will be, just geographically. They're not putting us in the same camp.
I know. Well, unless they want to load us on trains, we'll see how that goes.
Oh, don't bring up the trains, man. Those always went to the gas stations. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean, man. Yeah, that's
not
why.
Good.
Hopefully we don't have to go any place like that. But it all makes me nervous these days. That's why I'm like, I'm keeping my guns.
Dude, I'm like, my wife was even like, this is the craziest part. My wife was like, I want to go to the range with you. She's never wanted to shoot a gun ever.
Yep.
And she's seeing what's going on going, I want to go to the range. And of course the range is closed, so I can't take her. Yep. Not to mention, I don't really want to burn my ammo right now because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be getting a resupply.
Yeah, you're exactly right, man. No, everybody be safe, stay strapped, and get clapped. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care, guys. Bye.
You've been listening to the From Concealment Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams. Be sure to tune in next week for more gun talk. Also, check out the From Concealment website for more shooting-related goodness at FromConcealment.com.